Besides being one of Portugal's main tourist destinations, the Algarve is a spectacular region of the country, and that's where we are heading in today's video. Join us to explore the Algarve Sotavento. In the video we will deal with the following points. We will explain what the Algarve Sotavento is all about. We will mention the most important places of the region. We will talk about transportation and also about accommodation. We will see when to visit the region and how many days to dedicate to the Algarve. Hola, ¿qué tal? Hello and welcome to the channel where we want you to be happier traveling around the Iberian Peninsula with the help of our videos and of our self-guided walking tours. The Algarve is the southernmost part of Portugal on the map. The Algarve is administratively divided into two halves. The westernmost, known as Algarve Barlavento, and the easternmost, known as Algarve Sotavento, which reaches the border with Spain. The names refer to the winds that blow in the region, Barlavento being windward and Sotavento being leeward. Today's video is dedicated to the Sotavento region. The divisions between one region and the other are not that real. Most visitors to the Algarve are not even aware of its existence. We chose this geographical division for the convenience of dividing our visit to the Algarve into two large halves. The division we have chosen is not so arbitrary for a reason. In the Algarve Barlavento, the cities, towns and villages are within walking distance of the beach. In the Algarve Sotavento, the order of the elements is quite different due to the presence of a huge natural park. So you will find the ocean, then the beach, in the middle the natural park, and farther inland the towns. Let's see all this in detail when we talk about the main places to visit. The Ria Formosa Natural Park is the geographical element that most marks the identity of the Algarve Sotavento, giving this part of the Algarve a wilder character, especially when compared to the western half of the region. If you're looking for secluded beaches, this is where you will find them. The park includes a large lagoon, 60 kilometers long, formed by a system of islands and peninsulas that form a kind of barrier between the Atlantic Ocean and the coast. It is a wetland that it is home to numerous species, especially waterfowl. Some islands are completely deserted, while others have small populations. You can visit the natural park by boat. You can do so by taking advantage of one of the many regular boat lines, large and small, that connect the islands with the mainland, departing from the cities of Faro, Olhão or Tavira, which we will talk about later. Or you can also visit the park as part of an organized trip, departing from the same cities we have just mentioned. The regular boat picks you up in the city and drops you off on the island. The organized trip takes you to several islands, including stops at different points of the park, accompanied by a guide who explains the places visited. To visit all the islands, peninsulas and beaches, you will need more than a week. That is why we are going to explain you how to visit 3 points that we believe represent the diversity of landscapes of the region. The first is Ilha Deserta, Desert Island, also known as Ilha Barreta, Barreta Island, the only uninhabited island in the park and therefore the wildest. To get there we take a boat from the city of Faro. The embarkation point is next to the walls of Faro. It is easy to find. You will find booths of many companies that sell trips to the park. We purchased the transportation to Ilha Deserta with the company Animaris, which offers regular transportation to the island with several departures throughout the day. You can take the Deserta shuttle, which is a speedboat that costs 10 euros each way per person when we did the trip, or take the ferry, which is a slower catamaran and costs 5 euros per person. We took the ferry. It is a very quiet trip in a boat with seats for all passengers and always traveling inside the park, not facing the ocean waves. On the way to the island, take the opportunity to check the boat schedules to return. As the Ria Formosa is on the final approach to Faro airport, planes constantly pass overhead. During the 45-minute sailing, the ship moves away from the city as it approaches its destination. A word of caution for people with mobility issues. Disembarking on Ilha Deserta can be very complicated for those arriving by speedboat when the sea is rough. As soon as you disembark on the island, you will see a map with the main points of interest on the island. If you turn left and walk a little farther out to sea, you will come to a small lighthouse that often provides beautiful images when the sea is rough. The only building on the deserted island is the Estaminet restaurant. It is made of wood and the restaurant uses renewable energy. In the building there are toilets, the restaurant and a cafe. There is a system of walkways that allows the completion of a circuit around the island, minimizing the impact on the ecosystem. Along the way, there are signs with information about the island's flora. The island's beach is long and wild. The waves are pounding. It is an ideal place for those looking for a remote corner. There is not much to do on the island, so if you're not going to go spend time at the beach or eat at the restaurant, you can spend a couple of hours to walk around the island and get on the boat to return to Faro. The other 2 points of interest are located on the island of Tavira, at the easternmost end of the park. The island has almost 11 kilometers of sand with 4 beaches, some of them very busy during the summer season. Tavira Beach is very close to the city of Tavira, and it is quite easy to reach, either by boat from the center of Tavira or by ferry from the Cuatro Aguas pier. The company that operates the boats and the ferry is Silnido. The larger boats departing from the center cost €2.50 round trip. The smaller boats departing from the Cuatro Aguas pier cost €190 round trip. Since we were driving, we headed to the Cuatro Aguas pier, where there is a parking lot, several bars and restaurants, public toilets, and a booth where ferry tickets are sold. The trip is so fast, always through calm waters, that you barely have time to contemplate the scenery. Soon the boat approaches the island. A path where environmental preservation messages can be seen and that goes throughout a restaurant area finally leads to the beach of Praia de Tavira, the first of the island's beaches. We visited the beach outside the beach season, but during the summer it is a very busy and popular place due to its incredible beauty. The large extension of the beach means that it is never difficult to find a corner to enjoy it away from the crowds. There is a paid beach service for those who want it. There is plenty of space and everyone fits, whether you pay for a sun lounger, prefer to stay alone, or just stroll around. The walk along the beach is a delight because the strip of sand is so wide. And if you are brave enough, you can go into the sea even outside the beach season. The third point of interest we visited, the second on the island of Tavira, is Praia do Barril. It is best to approach it by car as it is quite difficult to get there on foot. If you do it walking, you first have to get to Praia de Tavira and then walk several kilometers along the sand to Praia do Barril and then come back. If you travel by car, you will have to drive to the condominium Pedras del Rey and park there. Next to the lagoon begins the trail that leads to Praia do Barril. You can walk along this trail or, even more fun, take a small train. Let's take a look at the details. There are free parking spaces next to the lagoon. Take the opportunity to admire the views. This part of the natural park is very beautiful. Whether you plan to reach the beach on foot or by train, you will walk along a dirt track until you reach a wide bridge, which you will cross. The train station is on the other side of the bridge. If you want to continue walking, there is a path that follows the train tracks. If there is no train at the station, it will arrive soon. The railroad consists of two small locomotives that come and go simultaneously, pulling carriages open on the sides. It is a tourist train that runs every day during the beach season and with less frequencies the rest of the year, and travels along the tracks that were once used to transport fish from the beach. The ride is short, less than 2 kilometers, and takes less than 10 minutes, but it is very beautiful, especially at the beginning when it crosses the lagoon with water on both sides of the path. When we visited the beach, the ticket cost €2 each way. There are ticket vending machines at the initial station where you have to buy the tickets, paying by card. There are departures every few minutes. Leaving the final train station, you will arrive at Barril beach, one of the best beaches in the Algarve, with very calm waters, a good stretch of sand, and also beach services. Next to the beach, you will see the restored houses that were part of an old fishermen's settlement where 80 families lived during the tuna fishing season. The area is now occupied by stores and restaurants, and the historical memory of the place is preserved in signs that tell the story of an activity, tuna fishing in traditional traps, which was abandoned in 1966. Another place where this memory is preserved is an anchor yard in front of the beach, where the anchors used in the past to hold the nets of the traps to the seabed are deposited. It is a singular place. To round off the day, a drink by the beach and the return trip, which, like the outward journey, was deliciously beautiful, contemplating the scenery at the end of the day. We have presented 3 interesting places in the Ria Formosa Natural Park, among the most remote and wild, but there are many more on the different islands and peninsulas. If you are going to spend enough time in the region, you can plan outings to explore other parts of the natural park and even repeat the visit to the ones that most appeal to you. We now change the natural landscape for the urban, because we're going to visit 3 cities that we believe are worthwhile. We start with Faro, the capital of the Algarve. The historical origins of Faro date back to the period of Phoenician colonization in the 8th century before Christ. Later, first Romans and then Arabs inhabited the city until it was reconquered for the Christians by King Afonso III in 1249. The historic center of Faro, known as Villa Adentro, is surrounded by ancient Roman walls, later rebuilt and expanded by Muslims and Christians. It is here within the walls that some of Faro's most important monuments are found. Access to the historic center is through several arches that cross the walls. Some are small, others are more monumental, such as the Arco do Repouso, protected by 2 defensive towers, or the Arco da Vila, a 19th century work. The center consists of narrow cobbled streets with walls painted mainly white and 2 large squares. In the Largo da Sé is the Sé, Faro's cathedral, one of the monuments we recommend visiting in the city. Work on the cathedral began shortly after reconquest of the city, and the temple was remodeled several times in the following centuries. A fire caused by English troops in 1596 almost completely destroyed the temple, which had to be rebuilt. The entrance fee to visit the cathedral allows you to tour the interior of the temple with its interesting chapels, visit a small museum with artistic pieces, and climb the tower of the cathedral by a stone staircase, with an open terrace overlooking the city and also the natural park of Ria Formosa. Next to the cathedral, there is a small bone chapel. In the Dom Afonso III square is the Municipal Museum of Faro, which occupies the former convent of Nossa Senhora da Assunção, a work that mixes artistic styles: Gothic, the typically Portuguese Manueline, and Renaissance. It contains archaeological pieces from prehistoric, Roman, and medieval times, as well as religious art. Among the treasures on display in the museum are a large Roman mosaic depicting the god Oceanus and busts of Hadrian and Agrippina, all of which are labeled as national treasures of Portugal. Outside the old town, you will find Faro's small marina, where you can have your picture taken with the I Love Faro sign. The main shopping streets, with their beautiful traditional Portuguese stonework, revolve around the axis of Rua Dom Francisco Gomes and Rua Santo Antonio. Finally, a 10-minute walk from the center is the much-visited Igreja da Ordem Terceira de Nossa Senhora do Monte do Carmo, or simply Igreja do Carmo. It is an 18th century Baroque church with a single nave. The interior is splendidly decorated with tiles and gilded carvings. But despite the beauty of the interior, most visitors pass it by and continue on their way to the Capela dos Ossos, Chapel of the Bones, which is located outside the church. The chapel was built in 1816 and contains an ossuary with the bones and skulls of more than 1,000 Carmelite monks who were exhumed when a nearby cemetery ran out of space. The precision with which the remains are arranged, following different decorative motifs, is impressive to behold. An ossuary that serves as a reminder of the transience of life. There is a fee to visit the cathedral, the Faro Museum, and the Church do Carmo, and we recommend that you check current prices and schedules at the tourist office, which is located just below the Arco da Vila. If you want to have a drink at the end of your day in Faro, watching the sunset with beautiful views of the natural park, go to the terrace of the Lab Terrace Sunset Bar. Try to arrive early, it fills up quickly. The bar is inside the Centro Algarve Ciencia Viva, between the walls and the sea, in the location you see now on the screen. Olhão is a town very close to Faro that should also be a stop on any Algarve itinerary. Founded only in the 17th century, Olhão, whose full name is Olhão da Restauração, leveraged its development on the growth of the fish canning industry in the 19th century. Today, it has the largest fishing fleet in the region. Like Faro, it faces the lagoon and the Ria Formosa Natural Park, and is one of those places that does not have so many highlights to visit, but it is so pleasant that it justifies a leisurely visit. The streets of the center closest to the lagoon are a labyrinth of narrow and colorful alleys through which it is pleasant to stroll during the day and also at night. You will see humble houses painted white, fishermen's homes, and buildings with tiled facades probably owned in the past by wealthier merchants. In the center, the Portuguese stone is a strong symbol of identity, and the planters in the shape of the bow of a ship leave no doubt about Olhão's strong connection with the sea. Take the opportunity to stroll through the streets near the town hall and the church of Nossa Senhora do Rosário, Our Lady of the Rosary. But you will spend most of your time on Olhão's excellent promenade, a promenade that follows the lagoon and is full of pleasant places with its gardens and access points for boats. For lovers of leisurely strolls, coming and going along the promenade is a sensational program, always contemplating the boats coming and going from the islands. In the evening, and in the same quiet atmosphere that characterizes Olhão, the promenade is an excellent place to watch the sunset and then dine in one of the many restaurants you will find there. The place not to be missed in Olhão is right in front of the promenade, and that is the municipal market, or rather its markets, because the market is spread over two unmistakable twin buildings. Inaugurated in 1916, they are beautiful examples of brick, iron and glass architecture, in stark contrast to the architecture of the neighboring streets. Each building is bounded by four glazed towers. One of the buildings houses the vegetable market and the other the fish market. Make a point of visiting the markets in the morning when they are at their liveliest, especially the fish stalls. Outside the market, there are several bars that are especially popular with tourists. On the promenade, you will also see the piers from where boats leave for the neighboring islands, as well as booths where tickets are sold and trips are organized. If you want to go to Armona, Culatra or Faro, Olhão is a good starting point. Our last tip in Olhão is a magnificent collection of murals, which is not far from the promenade, but which many people who visit Olhão don't get to see. The murals reproduce scenes from the life of fishermen and the men and women who worked in the canning industry. The scenes inside the factories are particularly incredible. The murals, in black and white, as if they were old photographs, reproduce all kinds of scenes and are painted on the walls of an old cannery. Our last stop on the Algarve Sotavento coast is the city of Tavira, at the end of the Algarve, closest to the border with Spain. If Olhão is a relatively young city, Tavira has a history of almost 4 millennia, traveling back in time to the Phoenicians. Romans and Muslims also left their mark in a city full of remains of its past. Tavira is located next to the Ria Formosa Natural Park, not far from the ocean. It is a city of endless white houses, some colored to stand out more, and others proudly displaying the traditional Portuguese styles. The city extends on both sides of the river Gilão, and the most important point that connects the two parts of the city is the Roman bridge of Tavira, the Old Bridge. Studies indicate that the Roman bridge already existed in the 3rd century, a bridge that would have served as the basis for a reconstruction in medieval times. It has been remodeled many times over the centuries, and its current appearance dates from the 17th century. Since 1989, it has been a pedestrian bridge, which makes it easy to enjoy. It is beautiful to cross the bridge and see both sides of the city. A small tile panel recounts historical episodes that took place on the bridge. At one end of the Roman bridge is the Praça da República, Republic Square, the liveliest heart of Tavira because almost everyone who visits the city passes through it. The square houses the Tavira Town Hall and on the opposite end the tourist office. It has a small amphitheater where during the summer months artistic performances can be seen. Next to the square is a pleasant garden known as the Jardim do Coreto, the oldest park in the city. It has a beautiful bandstand with a pond around it. It was designed in the 19th century when the bandstand was built. It is a meeting place for many residents of the city. Continuing from the garden is the rectangular single-story Mercado da Ribeira, which opened in 1887 and functioned as a municipal market until 1999. Today it has only a few souvenir stores, a bar and a Delícia ice cream parlor, whose ice creams live up to its name, delicious. Strolling along the riverbank and contemplating the rich catalogue of buildings on both sides of the river is a real delight. On the Praça da República side are the city's main points of interest, with its maze of narrow streets, with steep climbs and many charming corners at every turn. Dominating Tavira from above is the main church of the city, Santa Maria do Castelo, Saint Mary of the Castle. It was built in the 13th century on the site of a former mosque. Originally Gothic, the 1755 earthquake left it badly damaged and it had to be rebuilt, retaining some of the original Gothic elements. The most outstanding element is the clock tower with its large clock built in the 19th century. There is a fee to visit the interior of the temple. Next to Santa Maria do Castelo, inside a water tower, is Tavira's Camera Obscura, which can be fun for those traveling with children. Also next to Santa Maria do Castelo is the Castelo de Tavira, the Castle of Tavira. It was a castle of Muslim origin that was rebuilt in the 13th century. The earthquake of 1755 destroyed it almost completely, and today you can see its ruins. Inside the walls, a very pleasant garden was planted. Access to the castle is free, and you can climb to the top of the walls and enjoy views of the city from there. At the foot of the castle, you will see an archaeological site with ruins from different historical periods, including the Phoenicians, which cannot be visited at the moment but should become a museum in the future. If there is something that is not missing in Tavira are the churches. One that we recommend visiting is the Igreja da Misericórdia, the Church of Mercy. It is an excellent example of Renaissance architecture and was built in the 16th century, although much of the interior decoration dates from the 18th century. The highlight is the tile panels inside the church, installed in 1760 and depicting the 14 works of mercy. There is a charge for the visit, and the entrance fee includes a climb to the bell tower, made by a stone staircase, which allows for somewhat restricted views of Tavira. There is also a small museum inside. Tavira's municipal market is located in a modern building close to the center. It was inaugurated in 1999 and has just been remodeled. It is a very large space, not particularly beautiful, but very interesting for those who, like us, like to visit the markets of the cities they travel through. Here you will find products from the countryside and the sea as well. And you will have the opportunity to buy some excellent cheese, homemade desserts made with figs, or salt from the salt flats of Tavira. The Salinas de Tavira, the salt flats of Tavira, are located between the city of Tavira and the ocean and occupy an area of more than 300 hectares. If you travel by car, it is very easy to reach them and see the numerous species of birds that feed in the area. The area is especially beautiful at the end of the day. After visiting the coast, we head to the Serra, to the mountains, because whoever thinks that the Algarve is only beach is wrong. First, we are going to visit the town of Loulé, which is the largest council in the Algarve. If you have a car, before you reach Loulé, take the opportunity to stop at the sanctuary of Nossa Senhora da Piedade, full name Santuário da Nossa Senhora da Piedade Mais Soberana, or better known simply as Mãe Soberana. It is one of the main temples of Portugal dedicated to the Virgin Mary. The procession to the shrine during the Feast of the Saint is the largest religious event south of Fatima. The chapel was built in 1553 on top of a hill near Loulé. The earthquake of 1755 caused significant damage to the church. In the 20th century, a modern building was built next to the chapel with a curious circular shape. Both the chapel and the temple can be visited freely during the opening hours of the sanctuary. And now we are in Loulé, a city of unmistakable Portuguese flavor and where mass tourism that abounds in the Algarve coast has not yet been felt here. We are not going to say that there are no tourists in Loulé because it would not be true, but it is a place where it is easier to try to understand what life is like in an inland Portuguese city. Loulé is a city with a lot of history, already inhabited in prehistoric times, later with Roman presence, and in the 8th century conquered by the Muslims. In 1249, Dom Afonso III reconquered the city and incorporated it into the domains of the Portuguese crown. All the places of interest in Loulé that we recommend to visit are located in the center of the city, and the first of them is related to the Muslim presence in the city. The castle of Loulé, declared a national monument, is of Arab origin and was rebuilt and enlarged in the 13th century after the reconquest of the city. Located in the heart of Loulé, part of the wall has been well preserved to this day, and some remains of the castle are integrated with the surrounding buildings. During your visit to the castle, you can climb the walls and tour them, including several towers with views of the city. At the base of the castle is the Municipal Archaeological Museum of Loulé, with remains from prehistoric, Roman and Muslim times. Admission includes both a visit to the museum and a tour of the castle remains. Although the castle is Loulé's most important historical monument, the building that attracts most visitors to the city, the most iconic image of Loulé, is its municipal market, inaugurated in 1908. It has a unique architectural style, an example of the revivalist style with clear Islamic influences, with its bowl-shaped towers as the most characteristic element. It has 4 access doors and a surface area of 3,400 square meters. The construction of the market forced to change the urban layout of the center of Loulé, demolishing several buildings. Inside, you will find stalls selling products from the rich local vegetable garden as well as fish from the coast. There are also stalls selling products for tourists and those travelers who cannot resist buying local produce. On Saturday mornings, outside the market, there is a small informal market selling mostly fruits and vegetables. We have seen many recommendations to visit Loulé on Saturdays just for the external market, but I don't know, it doesn't seem unmissable to us. If you are in Loulé on a Saturday, that's great. If not, no problem. The market is open from Monday to Saturday until 3 p.m. In addition to the castle and the market, take the opportunity to stroll through the streets of the city center. With its typical Portuguese cobblestones, it is sure to be a very pleasant walk, with many interesting corners waiting to be discovered. If you go by car and you are a restless but at the same time leisurely traveler and you have enough time, we suggest that you extend your trip through the mountains, visiting other smaller towns and villages within the municipality of Loulé, such as Querença, Paderne or Alti, with many surprises along the way. The beautiful Alti, in particular, with less than 2,000 inhabitants, is a destination that is no longer a secret, as it always appears on lists of the most beautiful villages in Portugal and receives many foreign visitors looking for an alternative Algarve to the beaches. And one last tip, if you want top quality homemade food, visit Al Café restaurant in tiny Sarnadas, where part of the team of this channel has roots. Cecilia's father was from Sarnadas. Our lunch there was one of the best we have tasted in a lifetime of travels in Portugal. Let's see on the map the places we visited on our route through the Algarve Sotavento. We spent most of our time in the coastal towns of Faro, Olhão and Tavira. Then we headed to the mountains, visiting first Loulé and then touring Querenza, Paderne, Alte with lunch in Sarnadas. How to get to the Algarve and how to get around the region. Let's talk about transportation. For those who live far away, the most direct way to get to the Algarve is by plane. Faro has an important international airport which receives flights from Lisbon and many other destinations in Europe. There are several direct trains a day from Lisbon to Faro, including the Alfa Pendular train, which is the fastest Portuguese train. Trips depart from Lisbon Oriente station and the fastest journey takes 3 hours. Trains are operated by Comboios de Portugal. If you want to travel by bus, there are several companies that make the direct route from Lisbon to Faro, departing from Oriente station but also from other bus stations in the Portuguese capital. The approximate duration of the trip is 3 hours and 15 minutes. By car, you can reach the Algarve from many parts of Portugal, and if you are coming from Spain, the best point of entry is Seville. It will take you less than 2 hours to reach the Algarve by a toll-free highway. You will enter Portugal via the international bridge that crosses the Guadiana River, the border between Spain and Portugal. If you want to move around the Algarve, especially in the mountain area, at your own pace, a car, either your own or a rental car, is a must. That is what we did. We hired a car, and with the car we were able to go to places we would not have been able to visit on our own. A small car will be enough. When we went to the Algarve, there were still complicated electronic tolls, especially for those of us who arrived with a foreign registered car. But they were eliminated at the beginning of 2025. That doesn't mean they won't return in the future, but for now you don't have to worry. None of the roads you will drive on the Algarve Sotavento are toll roads. What if you don't drive? There is a train line that leaves from Faro, passes throughout Olhão and Tavira and ends in Vila Real de Santo Antonio near the Spanish border. It is an alternative for travel between the coastal towns. There are several services throughout the day and tickets can be purchased directly at the station. There is a train station with the name Loulé, but be careful because it is very far from the city of Loulé and the train is not a good option to get to Loulé. Finally, there is a network of bus lines covering the region. It is not always easy to find information about schedules and fares, so our advice is to look for that information at the local tourist office. You want to go from Faro to Loulé, ask at the tourist office in Faro, and so on. Let's talk about accommodation. The Algarve is a very touristic region and accommodation options are plentiful. Distances are not too great and you don't have to jump from one hotel to another every day, with the loss of time that entails. A single base may be enough. In our case, we opted to stay several days in Olhão as a base to explore the coast, and then 2 nights in Loulé as a base to explore the mountain destinations. The Algarve can be visited all year round, but there are different seasons to be aware of. The beach season runs from June to September. This is the high season in the Algarve, with many visitors and higher prices for accommodation. In the shoulder season, before and after the summer, the weather is very pleasant with fewer visitors and many deserted beaches. And in winter you will have the Algarve almost to yourself, but the risk of facing bad weather is quite real. To see the basics of the Algarve Sotavento shown in the video, you would need to spend 1 day in Faro, 1 day in Olhão, and 1 day in Tavira, with the trips to the natural park. If you want to go to the beach, add time. Another day for Loulé, and if you want to visit other villages in the mountains, add another day. Those would be the times for the basics. If you want to visit other islands, add more time. If you want to go to Vila Real de Santo Antonio, add another day. Between 5 days and a week would be the perfect time to visit the region without rushing. We hope you liked our video about the Algarve Sotavento. We want to continue our Portugal trip with the other half of the Algarve Barlovento, but we don't have a date in the agenda yet. When we do, you will find a link to this material in the first comment below the video. As always, if you have any questions about the Algarve Sotavento, take advantage of the commentary box to ask. Now you will see on the screen the list of videos we have already dedicated to Portugal in the channel. Lots of valuable information to prepare a perfect trip to Portugal. We are waiting for you on those videos now.